but also, as much as it's a shame that we're gonna have to say goodbye to Jim, I just noticed that the player who advances in his place is in fact Starter Sky,
Ooh, making a
currently
bit of,
facing Cyan.
yeah, making a little bit of a name for himself here. We'll see how far he can go. But before that happens, Yaku, we have our semi-finals match.
We do indeed. As a reminder to everyone, this is not the qualifying match yet, so it is still best of 3. And we're going to be kicking it off, as usual, on 2,000 atmospheres, LE. Of course, in the top right-hand corner map, starting all the way in the top right-hand corner, we have our red Terran player coming down from the land of China. He is going to be representing his team, Invictus Gaming, G. Very well known for his builds, and he's shown us quite a couple of them. He is Coffee.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of 2,000 atmospheres LE, we have his Protoss opponent, one of many, as he has had many of them tonight, representing Team SSLD. It is Firefly.
Glad that we're finally able to catch a little bit of Firefly tonight, but as I just took a quick little peek at the chat, I want to shout out Asher Bro, who is one of the biggest coffee enjoyers that I can probably think of right now. You came in just in time, mate.
Yeah, Asher, he's always about that unorthodox Terran play, you know, whether it's Quanta, whether it's Hon Mono, whether it is coffee, he is there to absorb that nonsense. Or hype, I should say, because, mate,
I'd say nonsense.
like the way that coffee plays, it's exciting, you know. Like he's got like a lot of control behind him as well. Like it's always a delight. Always a delight.
Yeah. Again, he's somehow even more so than Time, the Terran player who will always be in your face, no matter what, especially in TVP. As we just saw.
Exactly, and hey, TVP is the matchup that you need to excel in if you want to do well in the Chinese region. We were talking about it before. There's not a lot of Zerg players, you know. There's Silky, there's Hyperion, Wanted has been missing,
Silky.
Has been MIA for a while. Yeah, there's just not a lot of Zerg play. Yeah. When it comes to Terran, there's a little bit more, but only a little bit. It's mainly Protoss.
Yeah, we were talking a lot about how if you want to make it in EU and if you want to make it in NA, you got, and if you want to make it in Taiwan, Hong Kong, you got to be good versus Protoss. That applies just as much, if not more, to the Chinese region as well.
Yeah.
If you want to make it in StarCraft competitively, you got to be good versus Protoss.
There's just a lot of Protosses out there in these regions, you know. Not every region. There are a select few that don't have too many. I would even say Korea. There's a lot of Protoss, but
there is actually, yeah.
I think
think about it.
Yeah, the only like big one that doesn't have too many is probably Latin America.
Latin America, yeah. That's Zergland.
It is.
A lot of Terran players. A lot of Terran players have been popping off from that region, but yeah, for the most part, it's still just. Pretty much still just Paco Mike holding up that banner.
Pretty much, mate. Pretty much. But of course, that's enough about Latin America. We will have those qualifiers later on. For the time being, we are still here in China. Relatively passive openers. Coffee didn't go for any kind of proxy or anything like that, but he did open up with a bit of a 1-1-1.
Yeah, following it up with a couple more barracks as he, of course, got warmed up a little bit against Please Don't Mind Drop Me, okay. As he goes for honestly pretty standard mine drop at this point. Triple mines and triple mines off of a 1-1-1. This is what I go for normally.
And unfortunately, despite the Ring of Vision by Firefly provided by this Adept and by this Stalker and even the Watchtower, Firefly misses it entirely. So this is kind of best case scenario here for Coffee back at home. Oh, we do have a couple of defensive Stalkers versus Firefly is anticipating this.
Yeah, I mean, Firefly definitely had a little bit of time to watch Coffee's games against his opponent, and yeah, I'm loving this. He knows a little waddle-dee-doo that Coffee likes to do with one of his mines to distract the to distract these stalkers.
Yeah, Firefly read Coffee like a book, mate, and just like that, the Widowmine drop does nothing. The drop is still alive here, and still has a lot of potential, but he has to be careful because Blink is done. We have 2 stalkers. He doesn't want to throw this away.
Not yet, anyway. Blink has finished up, and here's the high ground vision, but already a couple of Marines were here to deal with a lot of what was going on. Pulls the boys, I feel a little bit prematurely, but in the end, he forces a recall out Firefly, so yeah, he doesn't lose too much there.
He does. Meanwhile, we do have a little bit of a Widowmine drop here. One of them will get cleaned up, only getting a single probe for his troubles. A second Widowmine is still stuck here in the medevac, so there's still potential for some damage, but for the most part, Firefly has handled the aggression quite well, and we can see what he is going for that swarm toss style.
Oh yeah. Hero's influence has definitely spread across the seas, and it feels like this is generally the go-to for PvT nowadays. You don't really see that many Phoenix openers anymore.
Exactly, Stargate openers here, not for Firefly anyway. Meanwhile, we do see the army pushing out of Coffee. This is immediately spotted by Firefly as he slowly tries to whittle away at it, slow it down, and confirm that the push is indeed going across the map.
Like so. He's gonna do whatever he can to try to slow it down. Stim, not finished just yet, but will be available by the time this hits. Of course, since this is a Swarm Toss style, Firefly is going to be relying a lot on defensive warp-ins instead of a splash damage backbone unit like Colossus.
Exactly. Meanwhile, oh my god, the Widowmine comes in, and despite it being so late, 8 probes go down. Warp in here, nice force fields as well, completely cutting the army of Coffee in half.
Couple of very good pickoffs here on the bio, and more importantly, it just slows the push down even more. Gateways have finished up right now for Firefly. He's getting a couple warp-ins in, and with that, Coffee just retreats. He knows that he can't fight his window of opportunity, at least with this initial drop has passed. He has to group up and get ready for round 2.
Yeah, exactly. Beautiful defense so far by Firefly. Those force fields were clutch. He even had a second shield battery behind this just in case. Forced to pop an overcharge, and Coffee is kind of missing his window here. Like, he's got to accomplish something with this push, but Firefly is always here, ready and waiting.
Like so. His force fields have just about been as perfect as you can really get at this position. And so some decent snipes, Coffee able to deal with the sentries in the end, but yeah, enough of the momentum was halted that Firefly pushes this back and reasserts himself on the map.
Yeah, now he's free to warp in across the map. Warp Prism is on the way towards that main base. What do we have at home? We do have a couple of reinforcements backing up. We even have a missile turret here in the main. So Coffee also reading what his opponent will do. But at the same time, this army hasn't really accomplished much, and he has to be careful. There is an army, a group of stalkers waiting for any kind of drop.
Yeah, that's their only job right now, is to replace the cannons. He's not gonna group them with the rest of his army. On the flip side of that, Coffee very well prepared for a drop himself.
Oh yeah, not just with the missile turret, but also with a Widowmine as well. So Firefly does not find a way in. Coffee has successfully defended against a potential drop there. He's getting his own third on the way, going straight into Ghost Academy.
It's his bread and butter in TVP.
Yeah.
For the most part.
I'm curious.
And I'm not complaining.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how it'll work. EMPs are amazing against Charged Archon, and I imagine that's the kind of composition that we're going to be seeing here. Blink Stalkers headed towards that natural base. The third is spotted here by the Spotter Zealot.
Yeah, Firefly definitely knows there's a little bit of a weak spot, or an opening, I should say, around the natural base, and he's looking to take full advantage of that.
Oh, exactly. A couple of Marauders are picked off. Honestly, very nice pickoffs here for Firefly.
Yeah, Marauders are very much a heavy-hitting unit. They're very effective against the Stalkers and the Immortals that Firefly is going for at the moment. Inadvertently, though, I kind of feel like it might be a blessing in disguise for Coffee. Against Charge Shots in particular, he definitely doesn't want to make too many Marauders.
Yeah, he really doesn't, but at the same time, I'm sure he didn't want to lose this drop either. Everything here gets cleaned up. Nice catch by Firefly. Meanwhile, the rest of the army has also been spotted here as he once again tries to slow this down, and I feel like, I don't know if there's a lot of firepower here. Like, he's got some Marines, some Marauder, but no kind of like major factory units. He has a couple of Widowmines, and yeah, Coffee thinks better of it and turns around.
Yeah, I definitely think that the stimmed bio has a lot of potential behind this, especially the Marauders against Stalkers, but you're right, there's no anchor point here for Coffee to fall back to. All it really takes for Fireflies to get one good concave on the Terran army, and that's and then he'll really show his opponent what firepower is.
Yeah, like he's got such a large gateway army here. Again, he lacks splash damage, but he makes up for that in quantity, not so much quality. So Coffee is stuck at home here. Pretty decent defensive position. Unfortunately, he did avoid tank production for a faster ghost instead. So not the most secure position, but you know, at least his main army is here. He's ready to receive, and he has gotten away with taking up into these ghosts.
Yeah, but speaking of teching up, Firefly has been left alone for long enough. His economy hasn't really been damaged too much. I say that, you know, relative to the previous opponent's Coffee has had. You know, that mine drop still hit. But, yeah, it's gone unhindered long enough that Firefly himself is teching up and running off his own army.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. You know, we do have 2 double robo on the way. Robotic Spade done as well for that disruptors for the Colossus as well. I love it. Looking to maybe go for some drops. He is going to have that much more mobility here with his Warp Prism. This means that if he so chooses, he can run past this missile turret.
I was definitely expecting Thermal Lance to be researched there, but yeah, this is pretty exciting.
Ooh.
Firefly is picking a much more active and much more micro-intensive style, and we'll see if that pays off for him. Definitely a lot of potential to be had in drop disruptors.
Exactly. Meanwhile, Coffee moves out at the wrong moment. This third base was so exposed. We do have a couple of EMPs blanketing this army, but is it going to be enough? There's still so much of a Zealot buffer available.
And a little bit of lost mining time here for Coffee. More importantly, I guess, Firefly forces the main army out of position. Look at that. Even had Stalkers ready to deal with the Liberators. The second follow-up army is pushing into the main base. Oh!
Liberator.
That was a close battle.
That was. Both Liberators are cleaned up and they only get a handful of probe kills, not even. Meanwhile, the Stalker army is not going to do too much here, but they are buying time for the Zealots to wreak havoc in the mineral line.
Yeah, Firefly's pretty much decimated the entire economy of Coffee right now. Coffee needs to push and deal some reciprocating damage.
Mate, look how overstimmed he is from just running around.
Yeah.
He's been trying to keep up with the multi-prong harass of Firefly, and because of that, his own army is hurting. Meanwhile, we haven't even seen the full force of Firefly. Disruptors are coming out 2 at a time. 4th base is on location because Coffee desperately needs to expand, and it's just never going to happen.
It's a 3-base Terran player against 4, soon-to-be 5-base Protoss player. And Coffee just hasn't been able to, at all in this entire game, slow down the economy of Firefly.
Yeah, he just really hasn't. Firefly getting his own 4th on the way as well. Sorry, 5th base, I should say. Well ahead when it comes to that economy. More disruptors are coming out. Finally, that Prism. He doesn't have the most diverse form of splash damage. You were talking about it before. You were surprised that we didn't have extended thermal lance. So there aren't going to be any Colossus. He's going to have to rely a lot more on his control to land those Novas.
And on top of that, considering he is so charge shot heavy, he also has to make sure he doesn't hit his own unit. Oh, that was definitely a pretty good pick-off, but an even better Purification Nova for the side of Firefly. EMPs blanket the entire army. Split is just about good enough, honestly.
Yeah, unfortunately, there was still ghosts there in that Nova. There's only 2 ghosts remaining. Where are the rest of the Zealots? They're coming in first round.
They should be able to completely wipe out this army. We need a hot pickup, we need a hot pickup, we need a hot pickup! But a hot pickup ain't gonna happen with all of these Zealots in, or Stalkers I should say, in position. Ooh, that was such an efficient trade. Apostrophe G is called here for Coffee because he himself cannot believe what he just witnessed.
GG.
He's met his match.
Yeah, well played. My god, Firefly looked dominant in that game. You brought it up during the cast itself, how Coffee, up until now, his Protoss opponents have been struggling to keep up with him. They've been struggling with his drop harass, with his Widow Mines, with his Liberators as well. But Firefly was ready for all of it.
He's definitely done his homework here. I mean, you know, you gotta expect that Firefly and Coffee, they play each other pretty regularly in the ladder and whatnot, but you can definitely tell that he was watching the past couple of games and thought, okay, that's what I need to look out for. That's how Coffee is playing right now.
Yeah. I think it's important to take note of is that Coffee, the way that he played, is kind of his stock standard play. You know, it's just how he has been performing here in his other TVPs. You know, rushing into those ghosts, relying a lot on drops, relying a lot on Liberator harass, and clearly Firefly is well aware of that. So I feel like Coffee has to go back to the drawing board here if he wants to do something against this Protoss player, because that was impressive.
It absolutely was. But if I know anything about Coffee, I know he's versatile. So he is going to have to switch up how he plays here, but I 100% believe he has it in him. It's very, I think it's very likely that we'll get an ace match here.
Yeah. It is like, I mean, personally, I hope so. Like, Coffee's been looking so impressive, and I think what's important about Coffee, I think we can all agree, he is not a one-note kind of player, you know? He has a vast array of builds behind him. He doesn't have to play the same game after game.
Yeah. But then you can say the same thing about Firefly, so... yeah, well, regardless, I'm just excited to see how this is going to play out, you know? I wouldn't mind getting more games like that. I would love to see Coffee switch things up a little bit and get us to that ace match. But if we had to have Coffee play the same way, still pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's always an exciting TVP before us. And bearing in mind, you know, I'm not alluding to it, but whoever does lose this series, they are not out of the qualifier. They will have a second life ahead of them, so they will have another chance.
Yeah, down in the lower bracket, that's kind of what it's for. As we load in now to Hardwire LE, we're of course in the top right-hand corner map, starting all the way in the top right-hand corner. We have a Red Terran player coming out from the land of China. He of course is going to be representing Invictus Gaming. IG! He is Coffee.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Hardwire LE, we have the Chinese Protoss player himself. He is blue, representing Team SSLD. It is Firefly.
Playing things out safe, you know, he knows that it's possible and even likely at this point for Coffee to go for a proxy when he's behind. So Firefly is just making sure that nothing like that's going on. Making sure that he has eyes on his opponent.
Exactly. I mean, sorry, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, I do want to give a bit of a shout out because we were raided earlier by Addy Trick. Thank you so much for the raid. We appreciate your support and we hope you enjoy the cast, because they did say that, hey, they came for Coffee. And he needs your help right now. He needs your energy.
That's a mood. I do it all the time. For Coffee, specifically. Anyway, we got a follow-up scout coming out from Coffee.
Yeah, the SCV is on route headed across the map here. Going to confirm the pylons, that both pylons are here across the map. That a wall is soon to be set up here at the natural as well. And goes for that bunker place.
And we saw just how effective this forward bunker could be against Cheshire, but I guess Firefly saw that as well. He's doing everything he can to prevent this from going up, but because of that, there's a bit of loss of landing time.
Oh, God. Whoa! The jukes are real. He needs to get to the other side. The other side. Oh, barely. He is in that safe pocket between the middle. No!
Oh, and the bunker will go down. Once again, the things that Coffee has been throwing out to really throw off his previous Protoss opponents are just not tolerated at all by Firefly. He shuts them down so dominantly.
Exactly, mate. He's like, mate, you're trying to clown me? You're trying to Coffee me? You know who I am?
He even gets the Reaper.
He even shuts down the Reaper. Quickly checking the vision here for Coffee. He has not seen the tech. He does not know what the hell is going on. Barely was not able to scout that Twilight Council. Of course, it's not a big deal. It's a standard opener. But, you know, it's just that little thing that Coffee is now unaware of. He's just a little bit more in the dark.
Yeah, he's a little bit more uncomfortable, so go for a bit of a 2-on-1? Well, I mentioned 2-on-1 a bunch of times, and it ended up not quite being a 2-on-1. Just a 2-1.
I wouldn't be surprised if we even see a third Rex behind this, but we'll see. We'll see what the plan is here. Meanwhile, the Adept trying to get a little bit of vision, trying to get into the main base, doesn't quite see what the production is looking like, but is able to, again, force the SCVs to remain here in the main a little bit longer.
Yeah, there's already a bit of a worker disparity between Coffee and Firefly at the moment, so if he's able to add on to that, then he's going to have a bit of a snowball effect as the game continues on.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Firefly was being a little bit greedy. There was no bunker here defensively, so the Marines are so naked right now. With good enough micro, Firefly, he does just take out these Marines, and he can just keep going.
Yeah, good enough micro will allow him to kite back and just trade so efficiently against Marines. We'll see if he can continue that against the Cyclone. Oh! Okay, pretty good for Coffee right now. I was a little bit worried for that Cyclone. No. I'm so worried about it! He's able to take out the Cyclone!
Oh my god, Firefly, it's just too much, mate. I'm afraid to look, but the units lost had 5 Marines, and a Cyclone was shut down by 1 Adept and 2 Stalkers. Well worth it here for Firefly. Killing any kind of Marine now just slows down the threat of that oncoming push that I'm sure he's aware of is going to be on the way. And with the death of the Cyclone, that means Coffee is that much less safe against any kind of aggression.
Yeah, it's and he has to know that a push is going to be coming his way pretty soon. You know, Coffee has lost a little bit throughout all of this. He's already at the start of the game focused a bit more on building production as opposed to saturating that natural base, and that was something Firefly had his eyes on.
Exactly. Meanwhile, the Stalkers come in. The Blink micro is good enough. Another Marine gets taken out. Meanwhile, we did have a Scatter Marine confirm that, okay, there is a third base. There is a Robo as well. Honestly, a pretty efficient scout by Coffee, not having to waste a scan or anything like that. So at least he has that going for him. But outside of that, he is, for the most part, contained.
Yeah, not even a soft contain. No way for him to move out of his base at the moment, not with all of these Blink Stalkers.
Exactly. Meanwhile, Firefly once again is going for that Swarm Toss style. We have Charge, we have +1, we have the Gateway Explosion coming in as well, and he's going to be feeling pretty comfortable about all of this. Oh my god, the Stalkers come in again, just abusing these Marines.
Yeah, he knows he can tank a shot. He can tank a tank hit or two.
Yeah,
he's more than willing as long as He's more than willing to take damage as long as he keeps the Stalkers alive.
Finally, a bunker gets thrown down. It's like, mate, you could have done this like 4 minutes ago. But it feels as if Coffee, he's finally recognized, okay, look, I just can't keep losing Marines like this. I need to invest into a bunker. Oh my god!
Okay, I thought for a sec the SCV might get sniped, but instead the tank does. Very well worth it. Effectively resetting the tank count right now for Coffee.
Oh, it did cost him a lot though. Firefly threw away all of his Stalkers to make that happen. That was 6 Stalkers in total for 1 tank. Was it worth it? Debatable. There is a lot of value in the tank, as you were saying. But now that all those Stalkers are gone, that means there's no more contain. That means the drop can leave.
Yeah, whether or not this is worth it for Firefly depends entirely on 1, whether or not he's able to catch this drop, and 2, whether or not he's able to fight this drop with his defenses.
Yeah, exactly. Again, he's in the dark about this. He doesn't know. He can make an assumption that, okay, now that my Stalkers are dead, there's a good reason that there's going to be a counterattack. But speaking of counterattack, War Prism gets into the main.
He's just so relentless, Firefly. This is reminding me a lot of what Coffee did against his opponents with his constant mine drops, but instead, it's the Protoss player doing it this time. 10 SCVs go down. War Prism gets taken out for the cost of 10 SCVs. I want to say it was worth it.
Yeah, especially because, I don't know if you noticed, but when the War Prism came into the main base, there was a little bit of an all-army hockey. Oh my god, let's go! These Marines did turn around for a moment, but here we go. The boys are being pulled. Coffee is 100% all in. The Stalker, sorry, the Observer, does see this and will confirm the SCVs.
Yeah, he's definitely quick in his boots right now.
Oh god,
That
exactly.
match against the power of the boys.
Yeah, the boys are here.
No,
Meanwhile, Firefly, he's warping in as much as he can. He's trying to get his defenses sorted out here. Can he slow this down? It looks like so far he cannot, but he's getting ready for a flank.
yeah, it's always difficult to try to slow down the entire Terran army when it's only Stalkers, but like you were saying, Light, this was so smart from Firefly. He kept the Zealots hidden, and he forced the tanks to be exposed. Everything is going down. He doesn't even need his shield batteries. Firefly takes out, or knocks down, sorry, the Protoss Slayer 2-0. And while this wasn't a qualifying match just yet, after what Firefly has just shown off here, it's hard to imagine anyone but Firefly qualifying for HomeStory Cup.
It really is. My god, what a display there. GG, well played. Firefly does advance on to the qualifying match after a dominant showing, at least when it comes to PvT. And that was not pretty. That was not pretty at all.
It wasn't. I'm definitely very impressed and honestly pretty proud of how dominant Firefly played today, or played against Coffee here, especially because of well, I need to promote to leader, party leader, I mean, especially because, you know, we just witnessed Coffee dominate two other Protoss players 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, as a Terran player, my heart goes out a little bit, you know? Coffee was without pain on here. You know, Coffee was kind of the hope in that regard.
He really was, and he kind of still is, to be fair. As Coffee is still here in the tournament, but can he come back in a rematch and take down Firefly after that display? I don't know if he can. Obviously, again, we haven't seen everything that Coffee has to offer, and he's gonna have to approach things in a bit of a different way. But does he have enough time to really recalibrate his mental state and really kind of, you know, take the time to think about that series and come up with a rebuttal? I don't know. It's really hard to do that in the middle of a tournament.
Yeah, it definitely is, especially for a player who we know Coffee as somebody a little bit more emotional than I think a lot of his peers here in the Chinese region. It's, you know, part of why his play is so exciting to watch. He puts his all into how he plays, and being knocked down like that in such it honestly did look close in that series. It looked like Coffee knew what to do, but Firefly wasn't allowing him to do any of it.
Yeah. Pretty much, mate. Pretty much. My god. So I wish Firefly the best of... Sorry, I wish Coffee the best of luck when it comes to recovering from that series. You know, he has a little bit of time to think about it and to kind of reflect essentially. And so does Firefly, as he now is chilling in that qualifying match, and we are all just waiting for a PvZ to finish.